What were we seeking to achieve? What were we hoping to see on this journey beyond grey and concrete, the splash of sun on a wall? As the sky grew dark, we reiterated ourselves, old patterns and conversations. Romantic pain, newly arrived, brought a decent pang of fear and regret as the night drew in, and we drove off towards who knows what. But we knew one thing, what we were here for, and the sensations and emotions, the pain and joy that you couldn't stop feeling, that was just a roller coaster on top you could never lose. My mate Pete had been into my music for ages, and so when I'd said, "Do you fancy us coming and doing Unlit at your place?" he'd been the first to say yes. He'd been a fan, I guess, but he knew more of my songs than I did, and when things had been tough with my music, he'd always been there. He'd asked me to play his wedding, and I'd sung as he and Michelle had tied the knot in Portsmouth Cathedral. And now here we were kicking off this crazy tour at his new house down the road from there. He was a good man, Pete. I was very happy to be there.
We are one and supernatural. We'll fill the sky with love. We'll fill the sky with love. We'll fill the sky with love and love and love forever.
Back in 2006, having been contacted by a few movie theatre ushers who'd heard a song of mine at the end of a Vince Vaughn film, they, and some other people who knew my music from MySpace in America, had convinced me to come and put on my night Unlit in their houses. Unlit was a sort of nomadic hybrid of a party and a gig, open and free to anyone, with a set of live music from 3 or 4 performers at its heart. They would provide the acts and the audience. I would just turn up and introduce it and play a bit. It was too much fun to turn down, and what a wicked way to use the internet, actually meeting the people who you chatted with and developed these bizarrely personal relationships, and then doing gigs in their houses. I was in. Someone suggested filming it. Someone suggested this guy Dave. We met a day before, spending 2 months together in a minivan with leaky air conditioning that smelt of rotting clothes and that we called Puppy, and we had a blast.
Never felt like I was breathing, quite like I am now that I'm leaving this house of dreaming for a new world.
From New York to LA, we went through 28 states, did 10,000 miles and 20 unlits in different people's homes. Dave edited little movies as we went across, and we put the films up on YouTube, and back home people came on the road with us vicariously on their lunch break. We met some amazing people, performers and musicians.
Leaving home for a new world.
This year we thought we'd do it again, but go around the UK through MySpace's houses here and see what gems Unlit could unearth closer to home. What would the universe give us this time? I put out the email, and the first ones that got back to me I wrote to. In a few days, I had 15 houses and dates in the diary, and before I knew it, here we were, again, getting the people quiet, starting the ritual, and seeing what happened. Pete had got the bill together, but a band had dropped out last minute. But there was one other band other than me, the Visitors. I jammed with Ed later, the pedal steel player from the band. He was really good, so we said we'd keep in touch. Afterwards, it was a party, a wicked vibe. There was an excitement in the air, like the beginning of things. As usual, there was the mixture of people, some who'd just heard about it through MySpace, and some who Pete had invited. And the whole thing was beginning again. Except this time we were in our own country, looking at everything slightly differently. And Pete and Michelle, sweethearts.
Thinking that you're my sweetheart. You're my sweetheart. And if I never see you again, I just want you to know what I've said.